Fnatic, Spirit Academy, Fireflux, Paravision, and then most recently Favbed. The only wins that they've got in that sort of streak of matches, Jay, GTZ Bulls, who's quite new to forming their roster, Zero Tenacity, that's looked quite shaky in 2025, the Rebels, who were a top-end Tier 2 team last year, but have had a rough start to the year, and then ECS, which is the new Polish formed team with Sammy. So the teams that they're beating are not even close towards the top end of Tier 2. I compare that to Bait, who's just come off the back of winning a championship. They've won 16 out of their past 19 best of threes. The only losses they've taken are against top-end Tier 2 teams. We're talking about Sinners, we're talking about the newly led Jame Paravision side, and the 500 squad that's also been in a proper run of form in the last handful of tournaments.
Again, it's such different contrast between these two sides. You almost have to wonder whether or not there is really a chance for the Rush B squad, and certainly history in terms of how the last head-to-head between these two teams played out in last season's ECL doesn't give much more credence towards them either. It is a bit of extended history, so there's not really much to extrapolate in terms of the details, but it was a 2-0 for the Bait side. From the Bait up to trajectory they're on right now, I feel like it's very similar circumstances as well. Your Kadia player highlight, of course, is NPL on the Bait squad, and that's a very appropriate pick here, Dwag.
Well, MPL is not only going to outcall Rush B, but he's going to outmaneuver them with individual impact. He's got to be one of the highest fragging in-game leaders that we have in Tier 2, and he just creates such a depth rifle pack with him being the in-game leader, and in a lot of star player roles. You've got Headtrick on the AWP, and then I would say between Alex and Kenzisaw, that sort of makes up potentially the third player, with the Senthiel being some of the small site anchors. So across the board for this Bait side, the roster on paper is incredibly scary, and there's a lot of players that are going to look threatening against Rush B.
Yeah, look, you could pick any one of these guys and put them out as a player to highlight and watch out for in this matchup, and you probably have a decent chance of seeing them perform overall. Here's your map: Vetoes, Nuke, Mirage, and Ancient. We played out in today's proceedings. Mirage and Ancient repeat from the last head-to-head as well, back all the way in August. In terms of this veto process, though, considering everything we've talked about between the two calibers of the teams, like how much does this veto really impact the series itself?
Well, there's no surprises. I'll put it that way. Dust2 always gets banned from Rush B. Train always gets banned from Bait. In terms of picks, I would say Bait's options are kind of Mirage or Anubis as the only two that they go for. They go in for a safe pick of Mirage. And then for Rush B, you've got Nuke. The only other option would have been a Train. And I think they've proved that in this series or this group stage of ECL, is that if Train's not being insta-banned, if teams are allowing it to float through, it's a little bit of a curveball. It's something that can catch teams off guard. But in this sort of map process where it's being insta-banned by Bait, you have to go in for your safe territory of Nuke. And I've got to be honest, with how many 2-1 series Bait have had as of late, I could see Rush B taking Nuke. I think that they've got some decent protocols. I think they've been able to beat some